Let me pose a hypothetical to you. Take today's report away, throw it in the bin, pretend it doesn't exist. Have you ever seen, I can't remember in my lifetime, such an overwhelming amount of evidence saying exactly the same thing?
No.
Every single study and research report by any country, any organization on the planet says that Brexit's a bad idea. And
because they generally have a vested interest in it. We had all of this when we didn't join the euro. We were told that the British economy would go to hell in a handcart while the EU economy stormed ahead. That was completely wrong. We had all of these organisations before. Hang on a second. We had all of these organisations, the OECD, the IMF, the World Bank, the Treasury, before the Brexit vote, all saying that in the immediate year after the Brexit vote, our economy would tank. We were told there would be an extra 500,000 to 820,000 unemployed within a year. Unemployment fell again last week to a 4-decade low. I could go on.
You're simply wrong in probably 90% of just what you've just said.
No, I'm not. I'm absolutely right. Tell me how I'm wrong.
For example, if we'd have joined the euro in 2002, today we would be 30% wealthier as a country.
Yeah, tell that to Greece. Tell that to Greece.
Who are performing better than the UK. Now, if you measure the UK economy...
it's comedy hour on LBC at the moment.
Hang on, I had to let you finish. Now let me finish.
Yeah, I will. I'm enjoying it.
It's only fair.
I'm enjoying it.
Stuff. Now, if you Google or have a look at the top 10 economies in the world, they're measured in one currency. So that you've got a comparative basis to compare the different currencies. Because you can't measure the UK economy in British pounds and the French economy in euros and the Americans in dollars. What they tend to do, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, they measure it in US dollars. So if you measure the UK economy in US dollars, like everybody else does around the world, you'll notice that in 2015, our economy was worth just over $3 trillion. Just after the year after the referendum, our economy was worth $2.5 trillion. We lost $500 billion out of our economy. This isn't forecast, this is fact.
Yeah, which has all been put back now because the pound has gone back to almost its pre-referendum level against the dollar. So
I heard you say
we can discount that.
I laughed. If you go back to before the referendum, have a look at the last...
144. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 144.
And it's now what is it now?
113 today.
No, it's not. Against the... Jason, you're confusing your currencies. Against the dollar, which is the currency that you just said our economy is valued in. You said just after the referendum, we lost $500 billion off our economy. Well, that's been put back because the dollar rate has gone back to what it was.
Well, the dollar rate's gone down as well as the pound.
Look,
if you compare it to
Jason, it was 144 against the dollar in June 2016. It's now 141.
Okay, look at the top 10 worst performing currencies on the planet in 2016 following the referendum.
No, you're trying to change the graph. I've just destroyed your argument, so you're now trying to put forward another one. The fact is the dollar rate has gone back, hasn't it? Yes or no?
It has come back.
Exactly.
Due to the Trump effect. But compared to the euro...
Oh, so you're going to pay tribute to Donald Trump for that, are you? Okay, fine.
No, compare the British pound, like other people do, with other currencies all over the world.
Well, you just wanted me to compare it to the dollar, which I've done, and I've proved to you that it's gone back to the same level.
The economy, we're talking about the whole entire economy. If you measure it between 2015 and 2016, $500 trillion, $500 billion, $500 billion disappeared out of the UK economy.
Because the pound went down after the referendum. We all know that.
And it's still down 20% against the largest trade bloc on the planet.
It's not down 20% against the dollar. It's down by less than 1% against the dollar, and that's the currency that you're measuring the economy in. I don't understand why you can't compute that, seeing as you that raised it in the first place.
Because the currency is a different thing to the economy.
Well, why raise it then?
Because they're two separate issues. One is the economy.
You're tying yourself up in knots.
You may think so because you're not understanding the complications of
I am understanding well, you're maybe not explaining it very well, but I completely understand what you're saying.
Okay. We know that the currency and the value of the pound around the world, in things that we import and things that we export, exports went up in 2016.
Exactly.
Great thing. If you measure them in British pounds, if you measure it in volume of goods and services that were exported, it didn't increase at all because the pound lost a significant amount of money around the world. So
And actually improve the value of the economy because exports went up. We've got more jobs in the economy, and the economy is performing. Would you accept that the economy is performing far better now than you thought it would in June 2016?
I think a 1.5% growth in the economy is a disaster.
It's actually 1.8%, but typical of a Remainer to try and put the wrong figures forward, isn't it? It's 1.8%. Do you know in France? Do you know what the growth rate in France is this year? 1.9%, a whole 0.1% bigger. So I don't understand why you think the growth rate here is so low.
Because if you look at the way that global economies are growing all over the world, the UK, in its position as what used to be the fifth largest economy in the world, we should be growing at about 6% right now.
6%? When have we ever grown by 6%?
When you look at the rate...
When have we ever grown by 6%?
If you listen to your man who was in the break a little while ago, he was saying how growth is significantly growing within the European Union.
Not at 6%, it isn't. It's growing at 2.3% on average.
I'm talking about comparatively. If we were growing in the same rate comparatively to the European Union or to South America or China or India, elsewhere, with the way that the global standings currently stand, we should be close to 6% growth.
Honestly, you're an economic illiterate, Jason, I'm afraid. No country, unless it's a third world country with a very underdeveloped economy, is growing at 6%. China is at 7%, you're right, but there is no European, well, certainly no Western European economy that's ever grown anything like that in the last 30 or 40 years.